Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Offensive Assault, your Call of Duty first-person shooter podcast, Twitch show, whatever you else want to call it here. Uh, I'm happy that there might be some people actually tuning in, not watching Overwatch, but I will say this might be one of the few times I would rather people not be tuning into the broadcast because it is the inaugural debut of the Overwatch World League. I was just watching before. I am repping my Shanghai Dragons right here, despite the fact that Noah and company put them 16th or 12th in the power rankings. I have faith that they might be able to pull out a victory today. Hopefully, by the end of this broadcast, they'll be able to catch that game. So, yeah, I mean, enough Overwatch talk, though. Let's have some Call of Duty discussion. Christian Kutlick is joining me, of course, always talking a little bit of offensive assault with me. There is a lot to talk about since the last broadcast we missed a lot of stuff over the holidays. We are now just days away from the start of CWL New Orleans, and we are days away from finding out who potentially will be a part of the stage one of the Call of Duty World League. This is a big time. I mean, this is going to be a very, very big tournament. In fact, I think one of the biggest ones all season.
Yeah, especially with what happened after Dallas. Pro points are kind of all over the place now. They're kind of really skewed for a lot of people. But I think we're kind of seeing like the things settle down now, and we have a better idea like who's at the top and who's kind of like on the bottom, I guess.
Yes, we do. I know that as far as content goes for this, I just finished up my Call of Duty Who Needs It More CWL New Orleans rankings for that. So we can go through as we're talking about, but I think it'll be best to do this conversation just going by who we think gets out of pools. Of course, the top two teams get to be in the championship bracket. The bottom three, and we know the open bracket team. We can't really discuss that right now, but the bottom three will then go into the lower bracket as well. So when I say get out of it, I mean into the championship portion. But we can kind of talk about all the teams within the groups and all the moves that they made, as well as where we think they're going to end up standing and what's going to happen for CWL stage one. I think let's go ahead and get started with Group A. This is, of course, Team Caliber's team rule to roost. I mean, they've been amazing as far as the 2Ks go. They, of course, won CWL Dallas 2. They benefit, I think, from some positive circumstances throughout that tournament, but still, they had to win to get to that point, and they did win. So, to me, they're the best team in competitive Call of Duty right now. But I think you would see a lot of people argue that Optic Gaming is still right there. Luminosity Gaming is right around that corner. I mean, do you think Team Caliber is the best team in competitive Call of Duty at this moment?
I think that one of the best. I would struggle to say they're the best. I think they're kind of that one team that plays a really weird style. And if they play anything outside of that one style, they'd be hard pressed to be called one of the best teams. Because as we saw with Accuracy, he had that very strange like assault rifle setup. I think if he played anything else, he'd struggle to be as good. And that's not really a knock against them. You use what you have. You use the tools in the game that make you the best.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why like Optic and Luminosity are so versatile. And I think like the way Team Caliber play, that's the one way they play. And I don't feel like they have any other play, but that one way is super dominant. And I don't think any other team can really copy it.
Unless another team can force Team Caliber out of their game, I think that they are the best team, and there will be teams that will strategize for Team Caliber. That's unfortunately, part of what happens when you have such a dominant 2 or 3 month stretch where you will now have teams game planning specific ways to stop you. And I think that's going to be what we start to naturally see. I don't think it's that they can't play in a different style. I think you're going to see people game plan for the style that they know Team Caliber will do to start, and you're going to see them struggle naturally. So if I'm putting money on who's going to win this tournament, it's not Team Caliber, in my opinion. I don't know if I could tell you who would, but I don't think it's going to be Team Caliber just by virtue of there will be natural progression because they are the upper echelon of competitive quality right now, and there will be people planning for it. We've seen this as far in Infinite Warfare too, where Optic Gaming was dominant for 2 or 3 month stretches, and then we had other teams emerge because they were able to practice, prepare, and plan for what Optic Gaming was going to do. Now, Optic Gaming had four of the best players, maybe in the history of competitive Call of Duty. That natural skill was just going to weigh or overweigh at times, or just do better. I'm not sure Team Caliber is blessed with that, but this event is going to be able to show us that. I mean, another event where Theory does really well, or even an event where Kenny does really well, And we're gonna have to start saying, well, maybe they actually do have some really damn good players for World War II.
No, you definitely. Yeah, I'm not saying they're bad. I guess I kind of have to rephrase that, and that like I do think they're still a top three team, but like in every, I guess, game or series, there's that one team that plays a strange style. I mean, I kind of think about like Black Ops 3, where Optic was running, and then like everybody, including the cast, was saying like, this is how you beat Optic. You got to get them on the first map. After you beat them on the first map, you kind of have an easy time. And so you kind of got to like blow out the steam. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with Team Caliber, is that people will metagame them, and they will have problems against that.
Do you think FaZe Clan is the clear number 2 from this group or Pool A? It's Team Caliber, FaZe Clan, Unilad Esports, and Mind Freak.
Yeah, exactly. I think FaZe Clan will be number 2. I don't think it'll be a complete stop or anything. I mean, I don't think that Team Caliber will completely stomp FaZe Clan. I do think Team Caliber and FaZe Clan will dominate this bracket, though. This
I think
pool.
that Caliber will stomp FaZe Clan. I think maybe it'll be 3-1. Yeah, I think 3-1 victory maybe for FaZe Clan. I could see there being a capture the flag that FaZe is able to win, but for the most part, I think Caliber is going to be able to handle that. However, I do think FaZe Clan is going to be able to just kind of walk over Unilad and Mind Freak. I know that Mind Freak's got a lot to play for, and certainly Unilad does too, given that they are kind of tied for those bottom 3 spots. I mean, they're up against some things as far as getting that point, but I think it's going to be those two pretty clearly as the top 2 from Pool A.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm just looking at Unilad has 41,000 pro points, a little over 41,000. Epsilon Esports is behind them at 36,000. Those are 4th and 5th place, of course, stage 1. There are 10 teams from North America qualified, 5 teams from Europe, and 1 from the APAC region. So if Unilad holds strong, if they're able to do this, stay within the spot, they will be guaranteed a spot in CWL stage 1.
I thought Unilad was European.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I say something else?
Yeah, I thought you were saying Unilad is guaranteed a spot. But yeah, I think you're thinking Mind Freak's guaranteed a spot because they're APAC.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm saying that Unilad's 4th in the European standings, and Epsilon's 5th. And the 4th and 5th spot, I mean, if they were to maintain that, if everything were to hold serve, Unilad would qualify for a CWL Stage 1. But they do have a guy or the team like Team Infused, Giants Gaming, and Millennium all have 3,000 or 30,000 plus experience points. So they're well within range. I know for certain Millennium's going to be at this event. I have to imagine Team Infused would be, and Giants Gaming as well. So all of those guys are going to probably be playing in the open bracket. If they can get in there, if they can qualify, I think that I don't know. That's going to be tough. I think they're all really darn close.
Millennium has a good shot, so does Giant Games. They have a good run through that bracket. They won't have to face off against somebody like FaZe Clan or Echopost, who really blew through the brackets on Dallas. So if Unilad kind of screw the pooch, I guess, in this pool, you could see them dropping to like 5th or 6th. If Millennium.
Yeah, absolutely. I had them listed as the 6th most team that need to win at New Orleans or make an extended run at New Orleans. Problem is, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it might be a situation where we're getting a lower bracket run from them. They really only need to win 1 or 2 rounds, whether it be that they qualify in the championship bracket. That should be enough to put them in. But even just 1 or 2 wins in the lower bracket will get them enough to the stage 1. I know it depends on what their competition does, but for the most part, I think that's how you're going to guarantee a spot in stage 1 of the CWL regular season.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving over to Pool B, we have Optic Gaming, Team Envious, Team Vitality, and Epsilon Esports. If Pool C or Pool D is the pool of death, I believe this is the pool of life because I think it's Optic Gaming, I think it's Team Envious, and a whole bunch of. I'm not a huge fan of Team Vitality. Right now, they are listed as number 3 in Europe in terms of pro points. I don't see that maintaining. Like if I had to make a personal opinion and analysis on, I don't think that Team Vitality will come out of this with a CWL Stage 1 spot intact. Epsilon has the Slayers to do it, and we've actually seen them have some success against Optic Gaming. For the most part, though, this is going to be Greenwall dominating Pool B. I think Team Envy is bringing up 2nd place.
Yeah, this tournament's kind of going to be the battle for the Europeans, really, and it's going to be a bigger story for, I believe, the European teams because you're going to see the pro points shifting a lot, especially for like Unilad and
Mhm.
Vitality. I think Red Reserve and Splice are going to hold fast to their first and second place pretty easily, just because of the gap in skill in Europe. But those like third and fourth places are going to be pretty highly contested, especially for the Europeans. And this is the pool where you will see that kind of play out against Pool A.
I had listed all those guys kind of within the same tier: Unilad, Team Vitality, and Epsilon Esports. There are 3 North American teams that need wins more, but otherwise it's this chunk of people. I mean, there's a lot on the line.
Yeah.
I again don't believe one of these 3 teams, Unilad, Vitality, Epsilon Esports, will have enough pro points by the end of this tournament to qualify for stage 1 of the CWL. And this is going to be a big impact because those 2 are put together. One of them's kind of guaranteed, whether it be Vitality, whether it be Epsilon Esports. There's going to be one higher than the other in the pool, and as a result, one is going to be higher than the other in the lower bracket, assuming that both teams don't make it into the upper bracket, which I believe is going to be the case. This is, I mean, Pool B is going to kind of essentially decide one of the European spots, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the other one we still have to keep an eye on is the open bracket again, Millennium. But I think we're in agreement here. The OG is just going to obliterate through this bracket. They're going to just kind of swim through this, and then Envious will probably beat out Epsilon and Vitality pretty easily, and they'll take in the second place. Good, but pretty battered, I think.
Forget Optic Gaming sweeping, because I think that seems like a formality from Pool B. Would you be surprised if Optic Gaming dropped a map to any of these teams?
Not a map, but like I could see Envious taking a map, but like I'd be surprised seeing it against Vitality or Epsilon.
I'll say this: I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't drop a map. We don't know who's going to be the open bracket team to go into Pool B, so that plays a big difference. And from what we've seen, history, at least recent history, has actually favored the open bracket teams. I think it's something about playing through all those games. You just get into a rhythm, you get a little bit hot. They could take a game or two or a map or two off of certain teams, this open bracket team, but for the most part, I I don't think Envious is going to take a map from Optic Gaming. I think Epsilon might have a better chance at, and that's only if Dave and maybe somebody else like that just goes off in a hard point or something like that. I am, or maybe even to search and destroy, because we know Optic Gaming historically hasn't been always the greatest at search and destroy. Maybe that's where it happens. I don't think Vitality does anything. I don't think Envious is going to do that well against Optic Gaming. I think, yeah, I think they might end up sweeping the whole thing. I really believe that.
Uh, okay, I'll concede to that.
I feel like I just talked you into it. Did I just talk you into Optic
Uh,
Gaming sweeping Pool B?
I'm certain that's I don't know. I still think Envious will take a map, but I don't believe that much in Epsilon Vitality just because like it's great if Davy goes up, but you still got to do like deal with Scum, Karma, Crim Six, and everybody. Like yeah, and maybe all of Optic won't be going off, but at least 2 of them are usually going off, and that's better than 1 going off from
Right,
Epsilon.
right. Well, and I still think that Hawkeye might be able to. He had I was going to say infinite success. He did have infinite success because they were on Infinite Warfare. But even before that, Black Ops 3 too, he was also a pretty good Slayer in his own right. So I don't want to just discount those guys, but I don't see anybody else really stepping up. And we have a lot of question marks as far as returning players for Vitality and Epsilon into the competitive scene that I would say, haven't quite proven themselves internationally yet, or reproven themselves because they are returning. Reproven, I think, makes more sense, despite the fact that it's not a word. I understand that. I think that's yeah. I'm going up to gaming, not just sweeping, but I really believe that they are going to win every map they play in Pool B.
So not just 4-0 sweep, it'll
I'm
be
going
a
to say
12-0 sweep,
not just 3-0 sweep, because I want to take into account the
3-0.
open bracket team, because that's a different matter entirely.
So it's
Looking at the teams
9-0
that
map sweep.
yes,
Okay.
that's my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if Optic Gaming wins the whole thing, but they're going to be in position to, because they won't have been challenged very much. We know that they are a team that struggles at times on Championship Sunday. If they can get hot, I think this is their tournament to win. But it all depends on where they're matched up in as far as the upper bracket goes. And that has been topsy-turvy, especially last in Dallas. And
Yeah.
certainly this tournament I expect too. We can't – I have a tough time predicting how it's going to unfold.
I think it's all going to be about the mindset for Optic. But I do think they have a chance to take this.
Let's go to Pool C because now we're starting to get really into the roster changes and everything else.
Yeah.
Pool C has Luminosity Gaming, Red Reserve, Rise Nation, and Enigma 6 in it right now. Of course, Rise Nation made the change to bring in Gunless, who you were talking about really earlier in the podcast, whether we thought this was a good deal or not. I think that's where we should launch this conversation because
I think we both want to dunk on some people.
Well, I could go on a 5-minute rant about Enigma 6 right now. I'm going to stop for the second, and I'm just going to talk about Rise Nation first. Gunless may or may not have forced his way onto Rise Nation. I don't know about he forced it, but the end result is he's on there. The meta as it stands is really benefiting submachine gun players. Gunless is a submachine gun player. I think it made sense for Rise Nation to make that move. It made sense really to get rid of Aqua, despite the fact that how good of a slayer he has been for the majority of his career. I don't know if this roster is good enough to beat Luminosity Gaming. I don't know if this roster is good enough to beat Red Reserve yet either. Maybe I'm just sipping the Kool-Aid for Red Reserve, but I really think that they are a pretty darn good team, and a lot of people are kind of overlooking them when we're looking at this Pool C.
I agree absolutely on Red Reserve because it's okay. We can talk about how well they did at CW Dallas, but that was crazy. CW Dallas with all the delays and like people playing like 30 games in a row. You know, you have to kind of take that out of account. But with Red Reserve, still has like 4 of the best European players on one team, and they will do a lot better because now they have something a lot more to prove because of their lackluster finish at CWL Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, so does I guess Rise Nation, but I kind of feel like
I disagree because I know this is a different team. Methods has been a different player in World War II. We saw kind of glimpses of what he could be at the tail end of Infinite Warfare. I personally didn't know if he'd be able to carry it over into World War II, and I will readily admit I am wrong. He had a hell of a CWL Dallas. He's really done good in the 2Ks too, and I think that of the players that have moved during this abbreviated roster mania, he's by far been the best one. So if you look at it in a traditional sports standpoint, whenever you're like talking fantasy football trades or whatever, are you getting the best player is the first conversation that you should have. And I think they got the best player in any deal with Methods. They might have also got the best player with Gunless as well, too. I mean,
I think so, but
in this meta, there might not be a better submachine gun player that changed hands than Gunless. And I think that's where it becomes a question. Okay, Rise Nation got rid of some continuity. They got rid of Nakafit earlier in the offseason. Now we get to talk about Aqua gone. We're also talking about guys like, I mean, we're other guys that are leaving Rise Nation too. That I think they got the better end of the deal. It's whether they can really come together as a team in time. That's going to be the proving point for this, right?
Yeah, not only that, I think Rise Nation needed the change because even though they found their stride by the end of Infinite Warfare season, they were struggling with that again.
Yes.
But at the beginning of this season, and you can kind of tell like they weren't just gelling together. My problem with the trade is that I think Rise Nation got the much better end of the deal, which is great, but I think it's a bad trade for Gunless. I think Gunless is overvaluing just like raw talent, like with Rise Nation is clearly the better team. When he was on E United, they were the underdogs, like they were the online warriors and everything. They weren't considered the best players, and like and when he traded to like FaZe Clan and everything, I think he's just looking like these are the best players, and he's not looking at how do I get the best teamwork, how do I get like the best team. He's just looking at the players. He's not looking at like how a team is coordinated and things like that.
I disagree. I think that Gunless one, whether or not he's forcing these moves, I think certainly he forced the move on E United, but it seemed to be a mutual move that FaZe Clan wanted him as opposed to him seeking out the best players. And FaZe Clan wasn't the best players in Infinite Warfare. Maybe it was the best players that were available to get to, but if he could have forced his way into Optic Gaming, that would have literally been being forcing himself the best players. So again, the situation goes with if Gunless was the one controlling the narrative and controlling where he wanted to go, Rise Nation likely made the most sense, but I suspect Rise Nation also wanted him on board, as opposed to an Enigma 6, who's also in their group, also had roster movements going on, even a Ground Zero or a Next Threat who had to be disbanded, unfortunately. I think Rise Nation made the most sense, and I think Rise Nation was the better team than Echo Fox, certainly with Methods on board and getting rid of guys. And I stumbled over, we were talking Aqua, but I also stumbled over Felony. That's Aqua, Felony, Nagafin that have all left in the past 6 months. This roster is a better roster than what it was. And I think he recognized that. And it's a better roster because Gunless is on that team. Gunless makes that team better. So in my mind, it makes sense. I'm not really upset about the move, in my opinion. I think that Rise Nation is going to really do well in this tournament. Maybe not in this group, but in this tournament, I think they're going to do well.
Yeah, it's just I just feel like Gunless is just kind of jumping from team to team, and he's not spending enough time like growing like a partnership, and that's kind of my criticism.
And we
Like
know that that's important.
He really had something with Echo Fox because they ran through that upper bracket. It was not like a legendary run, but that's something like you can be proud of. And I
Well,
think he
it
kind of
was a
just threw that
legendary
away.
run. I think that was a legendary run because FaZe Clan and Echo Fox set the record for longest open bracket runs in CWL history. Anytime you say longest anything in CWL history, that is legendary. And I think you have to take into account there were circumstances that are unlike, hopefully, any other Call of Duty event as far as the delays and everything else that goes with that. And that plays a part, I think, in trying to determine what this Echo Fox roster was. You're right that he's bounced around on a lot of teams, and I think as a result, maybe he isn't taking into account what needs to be had for a roster. But I also think because of him bouncing around, he knows what he wants to get, and he clearly didn't think that was going to happen with Echo Fox. So Rise Nation's the way to go. I don't know. I think that this team might not get out of the top part of championship bracket, but I would be surprised if they didn't win at least a round or two in the lower bracket or championship bracket, wherever they end up being. I think this team is going to be good.
All right. Well, let's talk about pool predictions. At least for this one, because this is kind of a difficult one, at least because we both agree that Rise Nation has become a better team. I kind of disagree with Gunless joining that team, at least.
Right.
I think Luminosity takes this, and so does Red Reserve. I think Rise does not, even though Gunless joined, and there was rumors about this for a while now. I do not think they have the practice to take off Red Reserve and Luminosity, who have had at least like 4 months of practice, and Red Reserve case like a year and a half.
I think to avoid just being chalky with my picks, I'm going to say that it's Luminosity Gaming as the number 1 seed from Pool C. And I think Rise Nation comes out at number 2. I like the move for Methods more than anything else, and I think that makes a huge difference for that roster. I don't know if Enigma 6 wins the series.
I know, with so much drama going on, I don't think so.
There's so much drama going on with this team. You almost wonder if drama is actually on the team or not because they probably be doing them on there. No, it's ridiculous to me how that whole situation has played out for the roster, and I've been avoiding going on my rant about that, and I probably could continue to avoid it. But just sticking to your initial question, I think I'm going to go Luminosity Gaming, and I think I'm going to go Rise Nation coming out of Pool C.
Who do you think they'll be Red Reserve then, or do you think they'll be Luminosity? Like, how do you think the numbers are going to play out?
I think they beat Red Reserve, and I think that they end up taking a map or two from Luminosity Gaming. They don't win the game, but they take enough maps where Luminosity sweeps Enigma 6, in my opinion. There's no way that they should drop a map. If everyone's playing on point, that should be a sweep. I think Luminosity takes maybe beats Red Reserve with 1 win for Red Reserve map count wise. And I think that then Rise Nation puts it close. And if you just put it close, that's where you get the differential in the map point. So it could very well be a situation where they're tied 2-2, Rise Nation and whatever else, and map count gets them in. That's my understanding, at least. That's my guess.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.
I have Enigma 6 because we're talking Pool C, and because I got past your questions, so now I can get into the rant. I have Enigma 6 as the number 1 WIM rated team, most needed wins at or extended run at CWL New Orleans.
You could hashtag that, put that on a shirt. Whim.
Whim, yes. And that's, you're going out on a limb, not a whim, you're going out on a limb, predicting Enigma 6 to do anything more than take last of the 4 pool play teams. I like General talent-wise. Constructing his team, though, he made a mistake. I think he made a mistake going after Bevels and Decimate as well, because he changed it right away, probably too soon, given what you're talking about, continuity. He changed it too soon for CWL, or not CWL New Orleans, for the Northern Arena, completely made the switch with Pander and Godorex. They didn't want to be on his team. They left. Dashy's trying to leave the team. He has to literally force Dashy to stay on there and then just pick up whatever scraps he possibly can, that being Sensor, and then paying a buttload of money to get Blast 2 from Ground Zero or Ricky's team. That's where he was before. This is a mess. Talk about continuity. They don't have anybody that probably has played on the team for more than 3 weeks, in my opinion. I don't think Sensor is the real deal yet. I'm waiting to see that to be the case. They did okay at CBL Dallas, and I have to give them a lot more credit because of that. But with the situation, with the circumstances, and with the teams that are in that Pool C, I don't think they win a map. No, I think they win a map. I don't think they win a series at CWL New Orleans.
Yeah.
Rant over.
It's a lot to take in because it just seems like they made him just seem like a really solid team. Infinite Warfare, and then whatever happened going to World War II, like generals seemed to really tighten the reins for some reason. And it has not worked out for him at all because all these players now want to jump ship. And it originally seemed like he was taking on these like newcomers and trying to do like an Infinite Warfare again, like an Infinite Warfare run. And
Right.
it did not work out in favor either because of him or because of the talent he was working with. It is a mess, and now the organization is getting involved too. They're having to send out like tweets dealing with this, and I think everybody on that team is ready to leave that organization, and I think the organization is ready to kick them out too.
I think I feel bad for General. General has a stake in the Enigma 6 ownership. I think his mom is the owner or something like that. It helps run it. So I feel bad, and I understand why General was trying to get the players that he was, and why he had to make a 25-minute pleading video about how bad how the organization is not bad on Christmas Eve. I recognize all that, and I get how the pro points are kind of forcing you to make that decision. But this just goes back to how it was probably not a great decision in the beginning to bring on those newcomers when you just wanted to make a change right away. You either have to stick through it or don't make that call to begin with. And that goes back to where maybe Enigma 6 isn't as valued of an organization as they think they are, because they wouldn't have made that choice to go with younger players otherwise, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if this is the decision they made 3 months later, 4 months later, after the start of Call of Duty World War II, maybe it wasn't in their best interest. And I have to imagine that a guy as smart as General knew that, recognized that maybe he didn't have better options, and was just kind of crossing fingers and hoping, and it didn't work out. And now you're left with the possibility that you will not make the stage one regular season because you are tied dead neck and neck with Ground Zero at 42,000 points. You are 6,000 behind Echo Fox and Pro Points. And oh, by the way, Doom, Lightning Pandas, Ghost Gaming are all within reach. Also, Evil Geniuses too. So this is tough. I don't think they make stage one. I don't think they do well enough here, and I think that they are going to be out, whether it be Doom Clan, that's Ricky's team, or maybe a surprise run from Lightning Pandas. I would love to see Evil Geniuses make it in as far as the organization goes, but they have not done enough, in my opinion, to get there. So they have a bit of breathing room, but I think any breathing room that they're built they have massively and royally screwed up throughout this abbreviated roster mania.
It kind of seemed like he underestimated the time to the first stage one, because you kind of feel like, oh, the game's out, and then we have 3-4 months to get to stage one, and I think he underestimated how quickly that goes by.
Yeah,
and that's why he was making all these panic changes.
I think he also underestimated how many moves would go on in the first couple months. I was surprised by that too. I thought there would be more teams that stayed the same, try their best, but really, you're just fighting for whatever pro points you can get at this point.
Yeah.
And whatever can put you a little bit higher, you kind of go with. I think that's where I'm not so worried about the Echo Fox Rise Nation switches, because it's just like, all right, we found a guy that has similar pro points, we'll make it work. And that's what we're going with right now. But Enigma 6 is in a difficult spot. They're in a difficult spot at this point. I think there's some weak links on that team. I don't know. I don't even want to say that I want to be proven wrong, because I just want this drama to be done with. And that feels like all that they have been for quite a while is just drama and other stuff like that. No, just retool, get ready for stage 2, figure out a team that you actually want to play with for 4 months, and go from there. I don't want to see you in there, because I think you're taking a spot away from a more deserving team, more deserving organization. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. That's
So you're saying not getting stage one might be a blessing for this team, because then they have time to
that's
think.
a positive way of looking at it, because I certainly think Enigma 6 is going to qualify for the World Championships in August. Somehow, some way, I think that they're going to have enough skilled players to be able to make that run and get a last chance qualifier, if nothing else. But I want to see other teams and other organizations and promote the goodness in competitive Call of Duty. And I'm not sure that's what we're getting right now from Enigma 6. So I do think maybe missing stage 1 would be a blessing in disguise.
Okay. And then the last pool is Pool D, which is composed of Splice, EU, United, rather, not the EU, and Echo Fox and Ground Zero. This is kind of not famously the pool of death, but this has kind of been looked at as the pool of death, and I kind of agree with that, but not in the way it's mainly for third and fourth. I'm kind of seeing Splice and EU take this, but it will be a hard fought one for both of them.
Well, we had talked last time we did this podcast about how we thought Ground Zero, it was only a matter of time until they made a move. And I didn't think it would be this soon, but it was like 2 weeks after we'd done that, they had already made changes, and Parasite was making a different team for himself. I think we're waiting to see what roster, what organization they do truly align with. A lot of people are rumoring, or there are rumors going around that he's going to be linked with Complexity Gaming soon, and he's played off and on with Complexity Gaming for the last 3 or 4 years now, so that doesn't surprise me. But they got to get to that point, and I think they got to earn a spot in CDBL Stage 1 in order for that stuff to really come to fruition, and for that organization to make I was going to say make money, but just kind of link themselves with that and be a positive investment. And this deal with Echo Fox being in Pool D makes it really tough, because Echo Fox is also shooting for the same thing.
Yeah.
They're also shooting for a shot to be in there, and they, of course, made a roster change as well. Our boy James Matone, who does a great job with really all Call of Duty stuff, he had a great Twitter link, probably 15 or 20 tweets talking about what could happen if A, B, and C, and what happens if this team and this team are in there. And he highlighted both Rise Nation and Enigma 6 and Echo Fox and Ground Zero. If those two teams were to match up against one another, which they will, being in Pool C and Pool D respectively, the winner of that basically confirms their spot over the other in opportunity for CWL Stage 1 eligibility. So while we are probably, I'm assuming Splice and United take 1 or 2. I think we could argue about who takes 1 or 2 out of those two, but I think those are the two from the bracket. Whoever wins, though, of those matchups could go a long way in deciding if they get Stage 1 eligibility. That's going to be a very prime matchup, despite the fact that they probably won't be in championship bracket contention.
Yeah, the way this trade worked out for Echo Fox, I think it was a kind of terrible trade for them, because they screwed their pro points up. They went from being kind of confirmed to not really confirmed at all. And now with Ground Zero coming in, it is like just one game whether or not you get Stage 1. Maybe Echo Fox is looking long term at like Stage 2, and that's why they made the trade, or they were just looking for a change. But it kind of seems like I guess the bigger question would be not who gets first or second, but who wins between Echo Fox and Ground Zero.
I don't. That's where I go back to. I don't think Echo Fox made the trade. I think Gunless kind of moved the situation along, and they just try to get whoever they could fit in their team the most. That also was the pro point wise.
Yeah,
So a guy like Aqua made a lot of sense. I don't think that
Aqua
Pushkin
was a
was.
good trade, but they were out traded.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
and I agree. I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. I just think that they were in a tough spot. They needed to get the pro points in order to be ahead because getting in a pool play spot was kind of the step one, and then just doing what you need to do in your pool play spot is step two. So I don't know. I think that Echo Fox beats this Ground Zero roster, but they also have Felony. They have Nagafin. Those are two Rise Nation guys coming over. That's much better as far as veteran leadership than the Blast and Ferocities that they were working with before. So maybe Ground Zero surprises. I don't know. I think I have to look at this as an analyst and toss away some of the biasness that is natural that comes with people that make changes all the time and are vocally rude to some of their teammates. That wears on me as an analyst. And I'm like, oh, I don't think they're going to do well because yada yada yada. But Parasite has done well as a player in this game, and he might be a better player than Saints when we're talking about matching up in-game leaders. So maybe Ground Zero is the one that takes this win over Echo Fox. What do you think?
I think it is Ground Zero because
You think Ground Zero is going to be the third place team, or at least better than Echo Fox?
I think they're going to be they're going to get a game off of Echo Fox. I know that's kind of a weird stance, but I think mainly because Parasite has had more time with this team and he's kind of felt it out a bit more, and Echo Fox really hasn't.
I don't know about that. I think that they really kind of had to make this because remember, Felony came over to Ground Zero right around the same time that there were rumors talking about Gunless going to Rise Nation to begin with. So I think that the team they've been the same for the most part as far as time together with one another. I do value Parasite as a leader. I think that Parasite is, or not as a leader, as a strategist. Is that the
Yeah,
right word? Doesn't really matter.
strategist.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna try to say it again. I already made a fool of myself once. But I really think that Parasite, I value that part of him as a player, and I think that he might be a little bit in Assault's head too. Going back to the Call of Duty World Championships last year, it felt like he was in Assault's head at that point too when he was on Cloud Nine. I wonder if that's not a situation too. And Echo Fox needs Assault to be the player that he is capable of being in order for them to win. They are not at that stage where I believe they are better with a less than optimal Assault, which sounds like a weird phrase to say, but that's what you get when you get gamer tags like Assault. So I don't know. I think it's going to be Ground Zero as the number three team from Pool D, and as a result, I think it's Ground Zero that does enough to get into stage one of the CWL regular season.
Yeah, I also think there's also the psych factor that Infinite Warfare was kind of a terrible season for him, and now he's getting on a team that he basically built from scraps and he built from the ground up, and he really wants that team to be in stage one so he can kind of rub it in everybody's faces.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Enigma 6 was number one on my WIM ranking. Ground Zero number two, Rise Nation number three, Epsilon 4, Team Vitality 5. That was the top five of the guys or the teams that need to have an extended run at CWL New Orleans the most. That article will be going on eGamer News probably shortly. It really depends on a couple of guys just editing things and not getting stuck on the Overwatch World League, which I will be going right back to watching once we're done with this.
Cough, cough, lie.
Success of that, yeah, but that'll be up on the site soon. I don't know if you'll be getting a preview in prior to it. Do you have anything written up right now, Christian?
Uh, I can whip something up, but no.
No. I don't want you to whip something up, but we'll definitely have you have a recap at the end of the tournament as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I will be at New Orleans, so will Wyatt too. So we'll be getting some interviews from the players. I'm hoping to have an article feature up on for Team Caliber on ESPN before the start of the tournament, but that's kind of predicated a lot on the time that I have, which is literally none. It feels like we're still working on that. So that's the content that will be going for eGamer News, and we'll be back again next Wednesday, I think, to talk. Hopefully, not so much Overwatch, but we'll be talking a little bit the ramifications of CWL New Orleans.
It should be big.
Yeah, I really am excited for this tournament. I'm excited to see how it all plays out pro points wise. Enough talk. I just want to see some of these teams get there and get this done with, so then we know what we have to look forward to for the regular season.
Yep, because this will be an actual tournament, unlike CW Dallas.
Yep. I think it'll be cool to watch and kind of see this whole thing unfold, and hopefully no delays. And cross some fingers. Hopefully no delays for that. And hopefully some good Call of Duty action. That's all I'm looking for at this point.
Oh, there will be. There will be.
There will be. Christian's calling it now. He's calling a shot. You can follow me at JB Fantasy Sports. If you want any NBA DFS hot tips, I'm also dishing those out right now. But I will be tweeting a lot about Call of Duty stuff while I'm at CWL New Orleans. And of course, Christian, where can the people follow you at if they want some more Call of Duty hot takes?
You can follow me at Games Cutlick. That's GAMESKUTLIK.
There you go, Games Cutlick. And of course, you can also get some more feedback on the up and coming artists as well, because I know you like to retweet some of those.
I separated those accounts just so just so it's not full of just like retweets and everything.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, I'm glad you're able to clear that up, make this kind of a little bit more professional. That's great.
Just a little. Let's switch.
That does it for us on the three podcasts here for EGN, and that does it for us. Offensive Assault. We'll be back again next Wednesday to talk more Call of Duty and first-person shooter action. Until then, see you later.
See ya.